When most people picture the fall of Rome, they imagine screaming warriors at the gates, burning cities, fallen legions, or scheming emperors in marble halls. But empires rarely collapse because of the enemies outside. They collapse because of the rot inside, and one of the deadliest poisons is always the same: money gone bad. Rome didn't crumble only because of invasions or treachery. It's crumbled because its currency died. And the lesson behind that death still hangs over every modern nation that believes it can manipulate money without consequences. Let's go back. For centuries, the backbone of Roman power was the silver denarius, first minted around 211 BC. It was almost pure silver, trusted from Britain to Egypt. Soldiers earned it, merchants demanded it, and ordinary Romans saved it. The denarius wasn't just a coin. It was belief. Belief in the empire. Belief in stability. Belief that value meant something. But running a superpower costs more than belief. The legions needed salaries. Roads, aqueducts, and fortresses needed funding. Borders stretched wider every year. By the 2nd century AD, Rome's bills were bigger than its tax collections. So emperors turned to an ancient trick: to loot the money. Raising taxes angered citizens, debasing currency. That was invisible, at least at first. Look at the numbers. Under Augustus, Rome's golden age, the denarius was 95% silver. By Caracalla's reign, it was around 50%. Gallienus, it was practically worthless, less than 5% silver. What used to be real metal became a bronze disc dipped in silver. People noticed. Prices soared. Inflation exploded. A measure of wheat that cost 1 denarius suddenly cost 20. Soldiers demanded raises. Merchants rejected the fake coins. Villages switched back to bartering grain, wool, and tools instead of taking currency that was losing value by the month. Every time trust in a currency slips, governments always do the same thing: produce more of it. Rome was no different. They minted faster, cheaper, and more desperately, and the crisis grew worse. By the crisis of the 3rd century, minus 235 to 284 AD, Rome was in chaos. Civil wars, invasions, plagues, and economic collapse shattered the empire. Emperors rose and died so fast that some ruled only weeks. But behind the political nightmare was a financial reality. Rome couldn't pay for its own existence anymore. Its taxes came in worthless coins. Farmers abandoned their fields. Trade networks collapsed. The government tried to force stability through new laws, including freezing wages, controlling prices, and ordering labor. Nothing worked because broken money breaks everything it touches. Then came Diocletian. In 301 AD, he issued the edict on maximum prices, trying to freeze the cost of more than 1,000 goods and services. The punishment for breaking the price ceilings is death, but you can't legislate value when the currency itself has none. The edict failed instantly. Black markets flourished. Traders ignored the law, and confidence slipped even further. The only real solution came decades later when Constantine created the solidus, a gold coin with stable purity. It restored some order, especially in the Eastern Empire. But by then, the Western Empire had already bled out. Debased money had hollowed its military, fractured its economy, and shattered trust. Once trust disappears, an empire's collapse is only a matter of time. So what does Rome teach us today? It's simple. The destruction of money is the destruction of nations. Rome hid its debasement behind shiny coins. Modern governments hide theirs behind printing presses, central banks, and policy jargon. But the effect is identical. Citizens lose purchasing power, while those with real assets survive. Look at history's echoes. After World War I, Germany printed marks to pay impossible war debts. In 1923, a loaf of bread cost hundreds of billions of marks. People carried wages in wheelbarrows. Life savings evaporated in days. Inflation wiped out the middle class, and desperation opened the door to extremists. Zimbabwe followed the script in the 2000s. The government printed money endlessly. sending inflation to 6 trillions%. Prices doubled every day. Eventually, Zimbabwe's currency became so worthless that it had to be abandoned entirely. But you don't need hyperinflation to see Rome's shadow. In 1971, the United States cut the dollar's last tie to gold. From that moment, it became pure fiat, backed only by trust. And since then, the dollar's purchasing power has fallen continuously. The bills look the same. The value doesn't. Everywhere, governments disguise inflation as growth. Promote rising wages while ignoring rising costs. They call debt investment. They celebrate booming stock markets, though most people own little or nothing. Just like Rome, they pretend everything is normal while quietly draining value from every paycheck. The danger today is unprecedented. Rome collapsed alone. Germany collapsed alone. Zimbabwe collapsed alone. But today, the entire world runs on fiat money, record debt, and central banks willing to print trillions at the slightest crisis, which means the next collapse won't belong to one empire. It will be global. So what should you learn from Rome? First, inflation isn't a mistake. It's a policy, a silent tax that has ruined societies for 2,000 years. Second, real wealth is not in paper or digital numbers. It's in skills, land, productive assets, and resources that hold value when currency fails. Third, never assume stability lasts forever. Romans never imagined their money would one day become worthless metal scraps. Germans in 1913 couldn't imagine wheelbarrows of cash. Zimbabweans in the 1980s didn't imagine they'd one day use foreign money just to survive. The fall of Rome shows that financial collapse happens slowly, and then, all at once, when money stops being real, civilization itself begins to unravel. Contracts fail, armies dissolve, trade collapses, and governments lose legitimacy. Invading armies may finish the job, but the real destruction starts inside the treasury. Here's the truth. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it doesn't need to. If you ignore the lessons, they will crush you just the same. Rome's crisis wasn't simply mismanagement. It was a warning about power, money, and the fragility of trust. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. History has already lived the future. Let me show you what it's trying to tell us.